Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, all about helping you all to stop competing on price, especially during this holiday season. Now, for those of you who don't already know us, this webinar is hosted by our team here at RealGreen by WorkWave. We're a leading software company for the green industry, supporting folks like you for over 40 years across all of lawn and landscaping. Now, before we start getting into our presentation, I did want to mention a couple things. Firstly, this is being recorded, so don't worry too much about note-taking while trying to focus on what we're talking about. Don't try to take photos or anything like that. We'll be sure to get you the recording in coming days along with the presentation, so you'll have it all at your fingertips. Secondly, we really love questions, so if you have any and don't want to forget them, because I know I would, please input them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We'll have plenty of time at the end to answer them all and take on any additional questions as well. Now, with that, let's do intros. So, today you'll have myself, Melvin Irizarry, Product Marketing Manager here at WorkWave and RealGreen. I'm joined by industry selling expert Dwayne Cashin, owner of Cashin Sales, the gentleman with the awesome shirt on the screen, as well as Jeff Nagel, one of our best product experts on the RealGreen team. He's here to give you all a firsthand look at the software and how it can make some of Dwayne's tips come to life. Now, next up, let's look at the agenda. We're going to open up today and go over some of the challenges we hear about you all facing on a daily basis. After that, Dwayne will go into selling strategies and advice he's given and tested with industry leaders to great success. Then we'll touch on our software and some of the top workflows that support making you stand out from your competition so that price becomes less and less of a focus. Jeff will then take us through the software itself because, in my opinion, seeing is so much better than just hearing about it. And we'll end with a little summary and then take on all of your questions. Now, I do ask that you all stick around as Dwayne was kind enough to offer a gift to you all at the end of this as well. Now, let's get into it. So, going against competitors is always hard. No surprises there, I think we can all agree. The holiday season is even tougher, though. As temps cool down, competition keeps heating up with everyone trying to get your customers' business. And unfortunately, most are doing it by racing to the bottom on price. This slide shows just a few examples I found with a quick search online. Discounts are everywhere. Everyone's making the focus strictly on cost rather than service and relationships. And while discounts are good, coupons are great. Moreover, you should avoid trying to focus strictly on pricing because the more you do that, the less you'll end up making. At the same time, all of these just cut into your margins more and more during a time that they may already be lower. Now, while all this is happening, the challenges that you're already facing throughout this last year aren't going away. No surprises to anyone here, but costs for materials and labor are only going up. We were just talking about that before this meeting. Now, and on the topic of labor, there's less great techs out there, less skilled professionals. And the ones that do exist, there's way more competition to get them. Lastly, it's not the busiest time of the year for the green industry, so your customers are already buying less. Competing on price right now is just not good. So what can you do? Let's go to Dwayne and get his thoughts.
All righty. Thank you, Melvin. I appreciate it. So we face a significant challenge in lawn care. And I say we, I do not own a lawn care company, but for the last 9 years, I've been focused exclusively on working with lawn care companies in various markets across the United States to help them increase their sales. And what I've noticed is that the vast majority of buyers, they have a perception that all lawn care companies are the same, that basically they're interchangeable. And this becomes really evident when I listen to calls and the buyer will say, "Hey, I'm shopping around. I want to get pricing on spraying my lawn." They use these terms that are so generic, spraying my lawn. They just have a perception that, that's all you guys do. You spray fertilizer, you spray weed control. What's your price? And that's a challenge because we do not want to be viewed as everyone else. And as Melvin just advised us, very good advice, be very careful with discounting because trying to earn business based on discounting, you've heard the saying, it's that race to the bottom. The lawn care industry and landscaping as well is very labor intensive. And as a result, there's a lot of things that pop up that can erode profitability. So it's not a good idea. Now, if you're going into a brand new market, let's say you have a solid market penetration in a particular area and you want to go into a new market, well, you might for a period of time, a short period of time, lower your pricing to secure some business. I mean, basically, you're buying market share at that point, and you've got to know when to stop that. Differentiation is critical, and I'm going to focus on that in this presentation. All right, next slide, please. So here's one company, Blades of Green. Some of you may be familiar with Leahy Brothers. That is a client of mine in Maryland, and they had an issue. They've got great salespeople. They knew their salespeople were great. They knew that they had great values, and they worked very hard. But they noticed that the sales were stagnant. The closing ratio on inbound calls had dropped, and also as a result, the ROI on their marketing spend dropped. And they were concerned about that, so they decided to do something about it. So what we did is we listened to a boatload of calls. That's a great way to identify the current state of a sales organization. Listen to those calls. And we looked at the statistics and metrics, and we identified four key mistakes that the team was making. And this is very, very common. Number one, the reps were doing a very weak discovery. And discovery is very important. That's where we learn about the buyer. What problems do they have? What past experience have they had with lawn care? Why are they reaching out now? Because something happened. Did they pull into the driveway and their lawn is the worst in the neighborhood and the pride kicked in? They just can't take it anymore. The discovery is where we get all the information we need to properly present, handle objections, and close. The next mistake we noticed is the reps, by and large, were doing a feature dump. That's at the point of time when we're going to provide our solution. They're just listing all the things about the company. This is how many years we've been in business, how many trucks we have, how many five-star reviews. Buyers don't care about that unless they ask. It's not a way to start a presentation. It pushes people away. We sound just like everybody else. And frankly, we bore the customer, and they just wait until we're done, and then they go right to what's your price. So that was very bad. The other thing they were very ineffective at was handling objections. And we know what the objections are. There's four of them. We know what they are, and we know how to handle them. And they weren't handling them at all. And their closing was extremely weak, asking for the order. So what we decided to do was we put scripts in place, and we practiced them. We did a lot of role playing. And a lot of times when people hear script, they say, oh, we don't want scripts because we don't want our reps to sound scripted. And no, we don't. We don't want a rep reading off a script. But just like any great movie or a fantastic Broadway play, all of them, the actors started out with the words on paper, and that reps are no different. They need to memorize this stuff. They need to learn it. Yes, they'll bring their own personality to it, but that's how the call becomes, very effective and smooth when they know exactly what they're going to say. Then we put some training in place. We put in one-on-one performance reviews and coaching. And most importantly, we changed the culture to one of accountability. And the results that organization realized in about a 9-month period was a 6% increase in closing ratio, which is really powerful. And that resulted in $600,000 in new business, not existing client cross-sell, but in new business. So that's the power of having some sales systems and process in place. All right, next slide, please. All right, perfect. So what do buyers want? Well, they want to tell their story. All of us as human beings want to tell our story. We hope people will be interested in our experiences, what we want, what our thoughts are. We're human beings. And we're all very similar in that way. We want to be listened to, and we want to be respected. So the reps need to really project this and create this connection with buyers. They want a personalized solution. We have to keep in mind that the buyers think that their situation is unique. And in many cases, we hear the same things over and over. We want to green up the lawn. We want it lush. We've got bare spots. I think maybe I've got a disease. Maybe there's a tree and shrub issue. Yeah, the challenges are very much the same, but they don't know that. A rep is taking at that point maybe 40 calls, and they start becoming complacent. They've got to remember everybody they talk to wants to feel like they're the very first person that's called in. That's extremely important. And the solution needs to be personalized, not a blanket generic solution. We have a 5-step program and here's what the price is. That's not effective. and they want a positive experience. In America, we live in an experiential society. So we expect a positive experience, whether they're going out to dinner, whether they're going to the doctor, whatever it is. So the reps need to remember these things. This is how they can stand out. All right, next slide, please. So on this slide, we're talking about what are the characteristics of a rep that stand out. They're doing a great discovery. Discovery is the most powerful part of the sales presentation because that's where we learn about the person, what's their personality style, what problems are they having, what's their past experience with lawn care. We learn a little bit about their budget. Perhaps it is the most important part because everything from there, presenting, handling objections, closing, it all ties into what we learned about this person in discovery. And don't it's very normal to think, wow, it sounds like the discovery is really going to lengthen this call. It's not. It's not. These questions take a matter of a couple of minutes and they shorten the presentation, they shorten handling objections because the rep is armed with critical information. Bring that human element back. You know, as I said, we walk down the street and we see everybody glued to their phones. I mean, it's amazing to me. I think people have grown like eyes on the top of their head they can actually see. I can't believe I'm not seeing people trip on a daily basis. It's amazing. It's human element. We're being desensitized in some ways. So let's bring that human element back. Let's bond with that buyer. And when it comes time to present, let's not do that. You know, a top rep is not going to do the feature dump. Here's how many years we've been in business. Here's how many trucks we have. Here's how many technicians. Here's how many five-star reviews. You know, as I said earlier, that doesn't matter to people. What matters to them is why they called. They have some issues. They've got a desire. What is that? And that's what we're going to show them. We can help you get what you want, Mrs. Jones. Do a recap. You know, you talked about the front yard is curb appeal, and right now you're embarrassed. And I know that's frustrating for you. I'm going to tell you exactly how we can make that look beautiful for you. That's connection, right? And the rep has got to exhibit confidence. We follow people that are confident. We do not follow people that are insecure, that lack confidence. When when a representative is making a suggestion, they've got to present themselves as the advisor. That's another big element in selling today. People are calling in because they want advice, and they're paying money for that advice. And reps often they lose track of that. We need them to remember the value of what they do. It is significant. And we need to remind them of the knowledge they've gained in their trainings because it's substantial. And this will have a very positive impact on their confidence. And then handling objections. There's 4 of them, basically. I need to talk it over with my spouse. That's a popular one. Your price is high. I'm going to get some more estimates. I'm going to think about it. We know what they are, and we know exactly how to handle them and what to say. And the top performing reps, they've practiced and done role play and they've memorized the approach. And then they bring their personality to it, and it's an absolute home run. It is so powerful. Those are the key characteristics of a rep that stands out. All right, next slide, please. All right, here's 4 actions that you can take right away that can help you generate increased sales. Place an equal focus on service and sales and production. You know, I doubt that any lawn care owner has started their company because they wanted to build an amazing sales team. I want to start a lawn care company because I want to build an amazing sales team. That's not why men and women start lawn care companies. They love the craft. They love being outside. They're brilliant when it comes to juggling agronomy, the seed, the sunshine, the soil, along with materials and the frequency of the material and how much of it to use and certifications and trucks, outfitting them with inventory, hiring people, human resources. Wow. So much stuff goes into it. It's so important. Absolutely. But put some equal time into selling because your sales reps can be trained. They can learn to be highly effective and differentiate your company. And it's very, very valuable. Realize you can't manage sales. Yeah, that's right. That's what I said. You can't manage sales. Why? Because it's a lagging metric. When December is over, your year is done. You can't manage the sales. Sales is, as I said, it's a lagging metric. What we can manage are the leading metrics. What are those? Well, their number of outbound calls made, their number of inbound calls taken. It's what's the rep's closing ratio? How are they doing on the calls we listen to in discovery? How are they doing in the area of handling objections? When we pay attention to all of those things, those are the things that are in the front end that contribute to the success of selling. The sale will happen naturally as a result of it. We know that for a fact. Focus on the leading metrics. And of course, you got to track stuff. And this is a pain in the neck. Let's be honest. You got to track it. You got to use your phone system to track number of calls. You have to use your software packages that you have. The software is so critical, and RealGreen is real powerful in helping you with that. Identify closing ratio, getting reports. It's key, and you've got to report it, and then you've got to hold weekly one-on-ones with reps. Oh, Dwayne, I don't have time for that. You know how busy I am? I get it. But that is the one most important thing when it comes to developing a sales team is meeting with them on a weekly basis, discussing their performance with them, and showing them in black and white. Here's how you're improving. And people go, oh, Dwayne, I don't know. Sounds like micromanagement to me. It's not. Micromanagement is where we're all over a rep all day with a whole bunch of stuff. Nobody likes that. You don't like it. I don't like it. It doesn't work. But when we show a rep, look at how you're advancing with handling these objections. Look at your closing ratio going up. It builds a massive amount of self-esteem and confidence. And now this rep is unstoppable. They love coming into work. And when you have this going on, this accountability in the entire team, now you're building a culture. And when you build that culture, you're creating a gap between your company and your next closest competitor that could be impossible for them to close. Because this stuff I'm talking about, it takes focus and it takes effort. And that's why I'm suggesting you put equal time, production, technology, and sales. All right, that's what I've got for you guys.
Thanks for all that, Dwayne. That was pretty darn good.
Pretty darn
I
good. It better
yeah.
be.
I'm still stuck on the $600,000
Yeah.
return that someone got, that Blades of Green got. That was insane.
Go on my
Yeah,
website. Brad Leahy left a video testimonial stating that. So I mean it's the real deal. Yeah. It's a game changer when you
it's
build that
incredible.
culture. It is.
Yeah, that and I feel bad for any rep who has to go through your spouse because it sounds like you've had that issue a few times.
It happens all day long. And reps go, okay, that's fine. I'll email the proposal. When do you want me to follow up? Hello? Hello? Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's no, we can handle all the objections.
All right. So with Dwayne's portion somewhat over, don't worry, he'll be speaking more soon enough. Let's go into your tools a little bit. What do you need to differentiate yourself to support all of the awesome advice that Dwayne just gave to keep your margins and keep making your customers happy? All right. It's critical that all of your customer data is held in one place. The best way that your team will be armed to speak to your customers and understand them is by knowing them by the data. Now, I'm willing to bet a lot of you know the majority of your customers very well. It's top of mind to you, and you've been doing this for a long time. I know my parents do, and they've been in your shoes for decades in the lawn industry. Now, that said, does your team know it all? How about any new customers? How easy is it to recall what happened last week, last month, or even last year with a customer, or even that neighbor, like Dwayne had mentioned earlier, who you may have just started servicing or started talking to? A centralized CRM can make all those questions a lot easier to answer with just a couple clicks of a button right on that call. Moreover, all that data means that in one place, you can easily review the reports, like we talked about earlier, and start being more proactive about opportunities, or just fact checking yourself and team to make sure everyone's on the right track and all the decisions you're making are the right ones. Data doesn't lie. Now, beyond knowing your customers, you also got to get work done. The more the better. You need flexibility because how often do plans change? Probably every day. And you got to make sure that your customer and business needs are addressed so that everyone's happy and getting the most bang for their buck. All right. So that's where RealGreen's dynamic routing comes in. It's a tool specifically designed for the lawn industry to intelligently automate your routes so that everyone's needs and your team's skills are all addressed. It ensures you're hitting the most customers possible each and every day so that no one's ever getting missed or skipped. Because once you close that sale and made those promises, made that personal touch very real, you have to show it and prove it out. Each workday with dynamic routing helps yield the greatest amount of revenue possible, given all the rules and constraints that you may have. And it takes all that guesswork that you might have done in the past, or just that one guy's expertise that you may or may not have next week, all out of the equation so that your customers can get what they need, that you can hit more stops a day. Our average right now with a lot of the folks who have this tool is about 2+ stops a day. But it also gives a lot of time back. Those hours that are spent on those sales calls, um, figuring out like what else you can do for them, you get all that time now instead of dealing with your routes so that you can figure out that next big move, create that new service offering, or ideally, especially now during the holidays, get your routes done, set it, forget it, and go back to being with your team or your families. We just talked about production, about routes. We got operations set. It's time to look at communication. Your customers love that communication, and so do you, I assume. But we all get busy, and that personal touch that you had with your first 10 customers, which kind of got you to here today, got you growing, may be a lot harder to keep up with when you have 100 customers, or maybe 1,000, depending on how large you are. Maybe most of your talks now are less about the relationship and more about missed bills. Automating all those standard communications, just like with routing, is the key here. All right, so that's why we offer a tool that helps streamline communication and scale with you with as little effort as possible. RealGreen's customer notifications helps easily and quickly generate your most frequent notifications, things like pre and post service notifications, payment reminders, all of that via email and or text, depending on what your customers like. That helps make sure that no one ever gets missed. It's all automated, so once you set it, which may take a few minutes, you can forget about it afterwards. You won't have to touch it unless something changes or you want to tweak a little message, add a little branding here and there, what have you. It lets the software do the work for you so that you can actually focus on those meaningful calls, building up your business and caring about your customers. Now, I'd love to talk about this more, but I've already talked to you too much. So let's go to Jeff so you can see this all in real time instead. All you, Jeff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Melvin. I certainly appreciate it. And folks, I appreciate y'all taking some time to join with us today. I understand you probably all have a lot of plates spinning in the background there, so it's not lost on us that you carved out some time, and we'll try to make the most of our time together today. But yeah, really what I wanted to do is just kind of give a very brief overview of the Real Green platform itself, and talk about some of the things that Dwayne may have covered a little bit during his presentation, and some of the things that Melvin gave a little bit of a teaser to there. So again, super brief overview of some of the feature sets that we have within Real Green. So what you're looking at here is our home screen. So home screen, you'll see, we've got big buttons on here for things that we're going to do all day, every day, right? We're going to be looking up customer accounts, adding new customers, taking payments, reviewing work that has been completed, running our reports, and then looking at our schedules. With things like payments, we actually have an embedded payment solution right inside RealGreen. So you can actually process credit card or ACH transactions directly through the platform. You can also do things like store customers' information on file on auto bill customers as well to make managing accounts receivables that much easier. Also giving tools to help fully manage a customer's account. So RealGreen is designed to be kind of a complete ecosystem to give you all of the tools to kind of help manage and streamline all of your day-to-day operations so that you don't have to work through multiple panes of glass throughout the day. So we'll jump into a customer's account here real quick. So when we look at a customer's account, we kind of treat that like a digital filing cabinet. So everything that you do for your customers is going to live on through their account. When I pop into a customer's profile, I can see a lot of key information just right on the home screen inside their account here. Things like, account balances. I can see this customer owes me $160.33. It's in red, so it's indicating to me that he's got a past due payment. But I set up an automation in his account. So I've actually given this customer a credit limit. So this is telling me that I'm really not going to start any collections activities on this account kind of until we hit that $200 threshold. And then we may automatically suspend that account for non-payment. I know I talk to a lot of folks day in and day out, and I don't know that I've met anybody just yet that really enjoys making collections calls. So we want to help add some automations around helping to manage the accounts receivable side of things. So you can do things like set up credit limits so it'll auto suspend an account due to non-payment. But kind of better than that, you can also send out automated communications to those customers to give them things like that past due invoice reminder that are completely actionable. So you can have a message, something like this, sent out directly to the customer via text message and or email. Customer can go ahead and click into that and they can make a payment through our customer portal. So not only is it freeing up time for your folks in the office, they're not constantly having to manage through a list of accounts receivables 30, 60, 90 days overdue. But it's also helping to make it easier for your customers to do business with you, right? If I can just click into a text message that I got and go ahead and remit a payment through there, I'm more likely to take action on that, right? So giving tools to fully manage through that customer's account, reviewing what services and programs that customer is set up for. We do also do a lot around like the chemical tracking side of things. We want to help to make sure that we can ensure compliance around regulations when it comes to reporting on chemical usage and tracking and things like that. So we have all of that baked in. I can see some examples of things like that when I pop into this customer's history and look at a previous job that we've completed. I can see the weather conditions. Those actually automatically get uploaded through our mobile app. And I can also see what products did we use while we were out there, complete with, the total area treated, the application method, application rate, and all that kind of fun stuff, and the total amount. And we actually have pre-built reports, whether that's just a product usage report, or if we have to pull a commercial applicators report as well. Another couple of quick pieces around automations, right? A great way to differentiate is to make sure that communications are happening on a regular basis. So, Melvin brought up earlier the communications portion of our platform, and being able to send out messages in an automated fashion via text message and email. So some of those would include things like a pre-service notification. So letting that customer know, hey, we're going to be out on your property tomorrow to, do X, Y, and Z services. You can also add in things like, appointment confirmations and things like that. Maybe we're going to go out there to do an irrigation inspection or something, and we have to gain entry to that customer's property. So we need to make sure that we can confirm that appointment. We have the ability to do things like that as well. And then as soon as we get done with that service, being able to notify that customer, hey, we were just out on your property and we completed the following services. So here you could also include, a copy of that invoice, a more detailed service summary there. Another cool thing we can do here is actually recommend additional services here. So, we've got crews and technicians out walking customers' properties daily. So while they're out there, there's actually a button in our app that says conditions. So while we're out on that property, we can say we notice the following conditions. The system can go ahead and add in these pre-scripted messages. And it can also recommend the solution to that problem. So maybe we were out there and we noticed they had some bare areas. So we want to recommend a core aeration and an overseeding. The system can actually go ahead and recommend that additional service. Customers can take action through these messages. So we also use these not only to be informative, but also to kind of help pick some of that low hanging fruit, right? So being able to kind of increase our cross selling and upselling capabilities inside of those existing accounts. And when it comes to pricing and sales, obviously that's a big part of our discussion here today is the sales process. So we also have tools in place for when you go to onboard a customer. A simple, quick customer information screen. It's actually a two-step wizard when you first start entering a customer's information. We're going to start with an address. We're going to grab their first and last name if it's commercial or residential. Cell phone and email are big for us because, again, we can send out a lot of those automated communications via text message and or email. And then we want to also be able to kind of survey that property without having to put boots on the ground to go out there. So we can go ahead and save all of this information, create that new leads profile within the platform. And then we also want to be able to measure that property. So we actually have a tool, it's called Measurement Assistant. So Measurement Assistant actually allows me to kind of like I said, survey this property without having to put boots on the ground there. So I have pre-populated here the property boundaries. In this case, we get those from like the county tax assessor's office. So this is what the county has on file for this property. Obviously, this entire 31,000 square feet is not serviceable. So we can actually come in and we can remove our non-serviceable areas. So while I have that prospective customer on the screen and I'm asking him those qualifying questions, I can also start asking more property related questions. I can let them know, hey, I've actually got an image of your property pulled up right now. Let me ask you a couple of things here, and then we can actually walk through that property together. Another thing I can see here is, it's fairly wooded around the perimeter of that yard. Can't really see underneath that tree coverage very well to see, do we have good serviceable area under there? So now I can actually come in, I can change my date range. Maybe I want to view this more in a winter view. So now I can actually see underneath that tree coverage and I can see, yes, I do have plenty of good serviceable area all throughout the perimeter of the yard there. But now I can come in and I can remove out the rest of that non-serviceable area. So what I'm left with is a much more accurate picture as to, what is the overall serviceable size of this property. So I can see we whittled it down from just over 31,000 square feet to about 19,500 square feet of serviceable property. But now I can go ahead and I can capture this image. We can include that image on the proposal that we send over to that customer. And another super handy piece in here, I think holds a lot of value, is also making that accessible to your folks in the field. So when you send a crew or a technician out to this property, they can see exactly where those property boundaries are. So now they're not servicing into adjacent properties or the neighbors' yards. And they can also see, where is this customer paying for us to service? So now we don't underservice or overservice that property. So increasing the intelligence of the folks that we have out in the field to make it easier for them to do their job so that they're not calling into the office, with questions that could be answered just straight through the mobile app. But then we can take this information, and again, during the course of a single phone conversation, you can have those qualifying conversations. We can go ahead and survey the property, whittle down our serviceables, our not serviceable areas. We can also change unit of measure in here. So if I needed to take measurements maybe off of linear footage rather than square footage, or maybe we're going to do a mulch bed up here at the front of the property, so I wanted to take a measurement in square yards so that I can better calculate how many cubic yards of mulch are we going to need to install there. But then we can take this information and we can actually go ahead and apply that directly through to our price book. I always like to say this portion of the platform is going to be highly customizable, right? So this is your book of business that lives within this screen. So this is your service offerings, your pricing models. Most of my services in my demo account here are based off of square footage, but you'll see it went ahead and applied those square footage measurements across all of the different services that we offer by the square foot. And I can go ahead and price out those services. You can also create packages in here. So maybe we want to present this customer with maybe a good, better, best type of a solution. I can say, well, we recommend our platinum program. Our platinum program is going to include our 7-round fertilization program, 6 rounds of fungicide, and it looks like maybe quarterly perimeter pest. We'd be happy to get you started on that today. Your total spend for the year would be $2,178.05. If I wanted to give a per round or per application price, I can just hit the little down arrow there and it'll actually show me how much is that going to be per application. If we do things like prepays, maybe we want to incentivize folks to prepay, so we want to apply a little bit of a prepaid discount there. I can go ahead and update that, let that customer know if they'd like to prepay. We can save them $102.71. Or if you wanted to offer them an installment, maybe we wanted to break that into 12 equal payments. I could actually come in and I can say, you know what, we'd be happy to break that into 12 equal payments for you. So your total would be $172.43 per month. I can also go ahead and add in those services, and I could go ahead and close that business just straight off of that single phone conversation that we have. Obviously, everything is not as easy as a single one call close. So we may have to do additional follow-up activities, but we have the ability to track that as well. So when we look at things, Dwayne brought up the importance of managing that sales process, right? Having those one-on-ones with your sales folks. So through reports, we can actually do reporting off of, how many estimates do we have that are outstanding? Where do they sit within our sales funnel? And then being able to make notations on those leads or on those customer records so that we can create follow-up activities and follow-up notes. You can even set alarms on those notifications. So, maybe I need to call that customer next Tuesday at 11:30. I can set an alarm so that at 11:15 I get a big blue pop-up in the platform to let me know I need to go ahead and give that person a call. So managing sales from having the ability to quickly take advantage of the opportunity that we have before us when we have somebody on the phone to creating those additional follow-up activities down the line. As we add in that customer, I could also go ahead and collect their payment information if they were doing a prepay, or, we want to make sure that we're putting as many customers as we can on auto pay so that we're not chasing accounts receivables, right? So I can go ahead and enter in their payment information and I could completely activate this new customer. So once we have customers, right, we need to get that work done. So we'll hop into the routing side of things here in just a second. But one other thing that I did also want to kind of quickly point out is, when we look at sales and we look at, key is route density, right? The more dense our routes are, the more profitable they become. So we do also have a tool inside RealGreen. It actually lives within the measurement assistant that we were just looking at. But I actually can hit a button here that says show neighbors. This is actually going to pull all of the other properties that are in this community. I can click on the plus button. I can also see, anybody that we currently do business with would give me that little green map pin button there. If I don't currently do business with that person, I can click on the plus button there. I can see, who is the current homeowner at that location. I could also add them into my system as a marketing lead. And then maybe I want to pull maybe this whole street so that when we go out there and service that property, I can have a pre-printed piece of collateral that we can leave behind at those other houses if we're doing a door knocking campaign. Maybe I want to knock on, take a 5x5 or a 9x9 approach there. Those folks are more likely to have seen my trucks when I'm driving through that community, or they see me sitting in front of their neighbors' yards with the branding on the side of our truck. So they'll recognize us a little bit more, the closer we are to those existing customers. So I can go ahead and I could add them in as a marketing lead. I could then pre-measure their property and maybe include, here are some of our most popular services, and offer those. So I can knock on the door, have it as a leave behind, maybe put it in the mailbox or a door hanger. So sorry for that little sidetrack there, but I thought that was kind of an important piece to point out as we move through. So now we'll hop over into the routing side. And I know that Melvin touched on it a little bit earlier, but our routing engine is called dynamic routing. And really what dynamic routing is designed to do is designed to kind of quickly and efficiently schedule your routes for you. But we also want to make sure that we do that to help you to meet your specific company goals and targets. So what is important to you as an organization when you build your routes? So to accomplish that, we'll actually follow any general rules or any constraints that you put into place. And I'll add a little context into, well, what the heck does that mean? General rules are pretty simple things, right? Like, what are our hours of operations? How many working hours do we have in a day? The system will also go ahead and honor any time windows or, dates of eligibility. So those are things that you don't have to think about when you're going to build your routes. The system will know that, and it can be sensitive to that information. So if I can't show up to a certain customer's property before 11 o'clock in the morning, the routing engine is going to see that and it'll honor that. But you can also go in and add in things like minimum revenue targets. So if I know, hey, if my routes aren't worth at least X amount of dollars per day, it's just not a profitable enough route, we can add that in as a minimum expectation, and we'll get as close to that number as we possibly can. With things like constraints, I always think more constraints are designed more to just make sure that the right work is going to the right individuals, right? So if I have certain employees in my company, maybe they have certain licenses or certifications or skill sets, I want to make sure that we're scheduling and routing the right work to the right folks. So I can accomplish that by using like employee constraints. Vehicle constraints can be made to where, if we have a maximum service capacity, maybe we're doing liquid fertilization applications, I have a finite amount of material that I can carry in the back of that truck. We want to make sure that we exhaust as much of that material as possible. So we can actually add in things like maximum service sizes. So when you go to build your routes, you really only have to tell the system three quick, simple things. And that is, how many trucks am I routing for? In this example, we're doing 2 trucks. The date range that I want to build those routes, that date range could be today, tomorrow, next week, all of round 5 fertilization, my whole mowing season all at once, whatever that time frame is. We can also toggle on and off things like same side of street routing. So if we're doing liquid applications, might want to make sure that we're approaching those properties on the right hand side of the road. Hose comes out of the right hand side of the truck. I don't want my technicians in the field trying to bust 5 and 6 point U-turns in the middle of a neighborhood. So we can actually put that in as a prerequisite. So I'm going to tell the system how many trucks, the date range, and then the services that I want to route for. Within this, you can also add priorities around, new sales. If I have anybody that needs to be on an ASAP priority, you can also add in things like, if I'm building out my routes for my early round 4 fertilization and we just wrapped up our late round 3, I could tell the system, I don't want to see anybody that we've serviced within the last 30 days because we don't want to go out and accidentally over service a property and then wind up burning out a yard. And then we're sitting on much larger issues. So we can actually add in systems of checks and balances there. So when I hit the build routes button, the system is going to analyze all of this information. It's going to go ahead and generate my routes for me. So an example of one of those would be, here's one of the days. And that last shot, we did 2 trucks for 2 weeks. We did like 540 some odd jobs that were routed. So here's an example of one of those days. If I wanted to click into it, I can actually see all of the metrics around that route. So here are all of those stops that were included in that route. I can see it's going to take my crews about 8 hours and 43 minutes or so to complete that work. It's going to take us about an hour and 15 minutes to drive the entirety of that route. It's worth a little more than $3,400 in revenue, and we're servicing about 72,000 square feet of property. So the system went ahead and it built out my route for me based off of my criteria. You can also optimize that route based off of some criteria as well. So do I want just the quickest route, or do I also need to make sure that we're honoring those time windows? Do I need same side of street routing? Do I want to use traffic trends? Traffic trends will actually kind of analyze or look at kind of common traffic areas. So let's say, for example's sake, I've got a school here between stops 6 and 7. System's going to see that traffic backs up there every morning when school lets in, backs up again every afternoon when school lets out. So we want to avoid that area at those times. So the dynamic routing engine is really meant to make quick work, to make sure that we are maximizing this production time and minimizing our drive time every day. And that is a kind of a brief, broad scope overview of some of the pieces that we have within the RealGreen platform. So with that, Melvin, I'm going to turn it over to you again, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Please do put in those Q&As if you have any questions. Now, to summarize all we've gone over today before we close out, first and foremost, never base your strategy on price alone. Your competitors will typically come out on top. It's a game of chicken, and even if they don't, your margins are going to suffer. Secondly, customers are the priority. Focus on just listening to them, solving their problems, rather than trying to only get their money. And finally, make sure to equip your team with the tools they need so that they can understand your customers, service them quickly and on time, and communicate frequently enough so that no one ever gets missed and everyone is always on top of things. Now then, that kind of ends our presentation portion of this. It is time for Q&A. As we take on your questions, feel free to scan either of these QR codes with your mobile device. On the left, you'll be able to schedule a personalized demo of RealGreen so you can focus more on your particular needs, not just an overview, or just get some more time with Jeff or one of our teammates like him. On the right is that free gift I promised you. Huge thanks to Dwayne for this, but he's offering you all a free copy of his One Call Close Mastery book. Make sure to get yourself that copy. With that, let's get into some questions. Let me look and see what we got. All right. First off here, I think this question might be more for Dwayne. What's the difference between support, accountability, and micromanagement?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's interesting when people are supported and yet asked to perform at a high level. It actually builds an element of confidence, pride, and self-esteem. We see this in the military. We see this on sport teams. If you're, we're in football season. If you're a professional football player, you're in a fierce competition. The NFL is just full of some of the best athletes on the planet, and they're all about winning. And selling is all about winning. It's a competition. Someone's going to win the sale and someone's going to lose the sale. I look at salespeople like they're sales athletes. So micromanagement, as I alluded to earlier, that's where we're all over a rep all day long about a bunch of stuff and not trusting them that they can do their job. And that erodes credibility, it erodes morale, and it messes with the culture. So here's in summary, we want to set real clear goals in there in writing, KPIs. Here's what a good job looks like, Tony. Here's what a poor job looks like. So Tony is perfectly clear on that. And then give him a lot of support weekly. Help him in the areas that he needs help while holding him accountable. And show him in black and white, as I said earlier, here's how you're growing, Tony. Your efforts are really providing great benefits for you. And that process, when it's done repeatedly, weekly, it builds up the self-esteem, and you'll find the reps actually embrace it.
I love that. Thank you, Dwayne.
My pleasure.
This next one I think is a little bit more for Jeff. This audience member has services most of their state. They're asking, I have a lot of branches, and as much as we'd like to automate our customer notifications, our communications, it's a little difficult when our messages are different depending on what region we're servicing. Is there an easy way within your software to do this?
Yeah, there is. You can actually set up separate branches or divisions. Each one of those can be set up kind of as its own entity as well. So if they have maybe a different logo or different branding, different contact information, all of that can actually be set up within RealGreen. And then you can actually make specific messages within that customer notifications piece, per branch or division. Pricing may be different, logos might be different, all of that. You can also kind of really go in and dial in. You can have as many notifications in there as you need. So if we have maybe these certain services need to have certain messaging included in that message that we send out, you can make those based off of branch, service type, customer type. So you can really dial in those communications to make sure that they are as pointed as possible.
Right on. I love that that's there. Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, this next one's a little bit tougher. And it'll be for you, Dwayne. We love your
Oh,
advice.
oh no, you have a
Yeah.
hard question?
Well, it's a tough subject. So we love
Uh-oh.
your advice, but not everyone will likely be on board. How do I know it's time to release a salesperson?
Oh no. The reality is that you have to have turnover on a sales team. If you don't, you've accepted mediocrity. Some people boast, an owner will say, I've had this guy's been on my team for 10 years. Well, on one hand, that's beautiful. But on the other hand, let's listen to his calls. You've got an order taker here. Knows the products, knows the services, is beautiful with that, but is not able to handle objections, is not doing a good discovery, all the fundamentals and the basics. So we've got to have the KPIs so that every rep knows here's what a good job looks like, right? And then that's reviewed with them on a weekly basis. But it's done in a way where first you always start out with, look at this great stuff you're doing, Mary. This is amazing. And this area over here, you and I need to work on it. You and I, right? I'm the coach, I'm the helper. And if you've got a really small company, that's fine. You're going to grow, but somebody in your company has to take on the responsibility of sales management. And it's probably got to be you if you're the owner and it's a small company. But the rewards you will receive by consistently reviewing and helping, pointing out what they're doing well and pointing out where they need to grow are magnificent. Now, next week you go over you with Mary again and you look, it's the same issue. And you coach and you help and come on, Mary, what can I do to help you? Let's get this together. Next week, same results. After 30 days, if Mary is not, or Tony, whoever it is, if they're not showing improvement, it probably indicates they're not enjoying their work. It's not necessarily that they don't have the skill or the talent because you believe in them, you hired them. And at the time you hired them, you fully believe that they could be a magnificent performer. So the way that to put an end to my answer here, the way to do it is give them goals, inspect and support. When they're not hitting them, make a note of it, discuss it with them, and you keep this going. If you find you're 30 days, 60 days into it and they're not improving, it's probably because they're not enjoying their work. And we want them to enjoy their work for themselves and their mental health. And we need a player on our team that's loving what they're doing. We never fire anybody because they're not performing. We coach them out because they're not in love with what they're doing. Right? And that's the way to go about it. And you really don't want to keep anybody on board more than 90 days if they're not loving what they're doing. There you go.
I appreciate that take. It's a different kind of answer than I'm used to hearing, but I think it's a really great mentality. Right on.
Yeah.
It
Well,
looks like there aren't any other questions, but feel free to reach out to us after this if anything comes to mind, especially at 2 a.m. We're here, we're ready for you. Until then, please keep a lookout for the recording of this webinar as well as the presentation deck. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. And thank you, Dwayne and Jeff, for joining me. Appreciate you all, and we're looking forward to seeing you again soon.
it's great to be with you guys, Melvin and Jeff. We had a great time.
Take care,
Yeah.
y'all.
Again.